my time on this godforsaken earth, it's that nobody cares that the voice of Kermit the Frog has changed as much as I do. Everybody claims to be a Muppet fan, and then the voice of Kermit the Frog changes, and then nobody knows that. I think this little tiny grin that he is going on in this photo is perfect. I think he's perfect. So let's get into how Kermit no longer sounds like Kermit. This man up there, his name is Jim Henson. You think he's a man, but he's a god. He voiced Kermit throughout the 70s and 80s until his death in 1990. He was the creator of the Muppets. He was the OG Kermit. His voice was very rubbery, and it was very in his throat. This man, when this man dies, he'll be a god too. Jim Henson appointed this man, Steve Whitmire, to be the new voice of Kermit upon his death in 1990. He is the one that we are most familiar of whenever we think of Kermit's voice because he voiced him for 25 years, from 1990 to 2016. Jim Henson, this dude was Jim Henson's right-hand man. He actually wore a Kermit suit at Jim Henson's memorial service to symbolize the Muppet torch from Henson to Steve Whitmire. That's how good this man was for the Muppets and Jim Henson. His Kermit voice was similar to Henson's, but it was more clean. It was a bit more squeaky. It wasn't that much in the lower throat. It was more in the upper throat. But the personality of Kermit largely stayed the same until 2016. I don't even want to talk about this man. That man next to the British one, I don't want to talk about him. In 2016, he became the new voice of Kermit because Disney fired Steve Whitmire. Disney, a few years prior, had bought the Muppets, and as we know, Disney has to Disneyfy and ruin everything it touches. They ended up firing Whitmire due to creative differences because Whitmire wanted to follow God Jim Henson and Disney wanted to follow the god Walt Disney. Matt Vogel previously voiced Big Bird, and he was a damn good Muppeteer, if I do say so myself. And he even played Constantine, which was Kermit's evil twin in the latest Muppet movie, Muppets Most Wanted. It's the best Muppet movie on planet Earth, and I suggest that you see it. Overall, I thought he was a good substitute for Kermit at the time. But his voice is not Kermit. It's too deep. And it's really, really bad, as I will now show you.
I don't know. I got a lot of friends over here, you know. The NBC Peacock? You know?
Yeah, sure.
He's a good friend.
It's funny. I sort of think of my growing up in the swamp as good training for being in Hollywood, all those rats and snakes.
As a frog who calls the earth home, I want there to always be days like this.
If there's one thing I've learned about during